quick tutorial for you. So here's the situation. I essentially have two audio interfaces. I have my Helix Rack, and I also have my Universal Audio Apollo Twin. I wanted to figure out a way, because I knew it was possible. Guitar in the Helix, sound goes out the Helix, go in the Apollo, and then I can hear out through my headphones or through my monitors from the Apollo. OSX makes this kind of nice. It's called creating an aggregate device. I searched the internet for a while, kind of found some half-assed answers. By piecing those together, this is what I came up with. Now I know there's a way to do it on the Windows side, and I know you can do it with the Audio for All drivers. It's going to be very similar. Maybe if I get some time or enough views or requests, perhaps I'll put one together. For now, we're going to focus on OSX. So what do you have to do? You got to learn to spell. You're going to open up your audio devices. As you can see, I already did it. This is an aggregate device. This typically isn't there. What is it doing? It's essentially creating one device out of two sub-devices, as it explains here. You have the Universal Apollo and the Helix. Individually, we have 14 ins and 10 outs. There's your inputs. There's your outputs. And the Helix has 8 inputs and 8 outputs. How do you create an aggregate device? Quite simple. Go down here, create aggregate device, and I'm not going to do it exactly, but what you're going to do is you're going to select the one you want as your primary one, which was the Apollo. So you click this, and then you're going to click the Helix. There you go. It's created. Now, I knew this was going to happen. It's going to crash because I'm using the aggregate device as my audio device, so it crashed. What I was going to say is you'll notice that these aren't labeled, so I'm just going to get rid of this. This is the one I did already. I just went in and named the inputs and outputs based on the user manual for the Helix. And look right here. This is the important thing. The guitar DI. That's very, very useful. I also wanted to start recording a DI signal while I was recording my guitar tracks. So if I felt like the tone I was using was a pile of crap, I could just go back and reamp. And yes, that is possible with the Helix. Again, this is in the user manual, and I believe, let me show that to you real quick. Helix Rack and Control Owner's Manual. And this is where I got it right here. Here's your ins and there's your outs. They don't have any clever naming scheme, so I just named it as such. But I was sure to label 7 and 8 the dry DI. There you go. Read your manual. Now, I'll show you why this is useful, and I'm going to show you in Studio One. So let's get rid of this. We're going to open up Studio One, and basically I have 4 mono tracks here. There's just a couple of DIs. Cool. So what you need to do is create basically another set of outputs and inputs. So you're going to click here. These are our DIs. You're going to click here, and you can see I've already created them, but I'll show you what I did. You're going to go to Audio, Input Output Setup. There it is. All the Apollo inputs, and then following that are all the Helix inputs. And there's your DI. Outputs. Apollo Helix. Apollo outputs. Helix outputs. I created a stereo set and a mono set of inputs. I'll show you how to do that. You're going to remove. Yes, remove. So I'll show you how to do this. Right down here, I'm going to go to Add Stereo, and right away we're going to name that Helix. Now we don't want that to be the monitor left and right. We want this to be the Helix left and right, which is 1 and 2. And then I just created 2 mono, Helix left, Helix right. Hit apply. Same with the outputs. I created a stereo output. I called it out to Helix. Now that output is going to be 3 and 4 of the Helix. Why is it going to be 3 and 4? Because your manual said so. Read the manual. And I created 2 more. Out to Helix left, out to Helix right. There you go. And there's your ins and outs. Apply. Hit OK. Now, here's the fun part. So what you want to do is you want to do 1 track at a time. I mean, think about if you had 2 guitar players plugged into 1 amp playing through at the same time. It'd sound like shit. So, solo your first track. And you're going to want to change your output. You don't want it to go to main. That's going right out to the monitors. You want it to go to the Helix. There's our stereo, our left and our right. It doesn't matter. It's going to take one of them. So we'll just do Helix. Now that's going out to the Helix. Oops. And you're going to go down here, and you're going to go input, and you're going to go Helix left. You're going to arm it, and you're going to hit record. Cool. Now do it for this one. Select it. Solo it. Don't forget to change the output. You don't want to go to the main. You want to go to the Helix so we can reamp it. Now if I just play that right now, it's playing through the Helix. It's as if you were plugged into it and playing it by hand. Instead, it's going out this track into the Helix, and we're hearing it out our main monitors, or in my case, my headphones. So we switch that to Helix, go down to this track, select our input as Helix, arm it, and record. Magic. So, now remember what these sounded like. We'll switch this back to main output. Solo. We switched it to Helix. It went out to the Helix. I'm just going to make sure that I mute these suckers so we get some phasing issues if you don't. Are you going to be a fuck? Is that what's going to happen here? What is happening? I don't know what the deal with that was. Now, if we listen back to these, look at that. Reamped guitars. So I guess I kind of showed you how to do that too. That may or may not have been quite confusing. If it was, I apologize. If you ask questions, I can try and answer them. If it wasn't, then I'm glad you liked it. So that's it. Creating an aggregate device. Pretty easy. And it's very useful. If you guys have any questions, go ahead and leave a comment below. Feel free to check out any of my other videos. I really do appreciate it. I'm going to try and really crack open this Helix and see what it can do. I'm really enjoying it. Using third-party impulse responses seems to really open up what this thing can actually do. Thanks again, and I'll see you in the next one.